ke mate maatonga motuanga ofa nanga mai kimua whakakai ke mate maatonga stuki I he motoka fukaki olunga hohonima te fute fie fia hallelujah my gloria kia si homa tua motonga kokuto fia ke mate matonga ki he auha owananga losi o motupu anga. Whakakai ke mate maatonga Spio mai, way mai koe aho eni oi maalani Floaty ai pe ki he lai Ua oi guna, ki o lunga Pilingia e ngā hipule anga Hallelujah, my gloria kia si homa O tua motonga kokuto fia mate matonga ki he auha owananga losi o motupu anga. Hallelujah, my gloria kia si homa o tua motonga kokuto fia mate matonga ki he auha owananga losi o motupu anga.
Whamalo atu ki he tonga moe vulanka tōpe o mou tuku taimi ka mou kau mai ki he polokalama ko ia Tongan Youth Athletes ko ia e he fia fini. Whatonga ia nge foki ko e polokalama ni ki he tau whanau pia o ku sponsor ia he pase pe ko e Polynesian American Sports and Education pea ko fia ke uheni mo ku partner mo Chris Malanga ke ma whakawhe I hani ihi ko si whai whakawhe ki ai ke mau recognize pe te mau talatala noa atu whikawaki mo e tau whanau I he sipoti kotoa pe neongo pe kai ke ngata pe a Kapufa Amerika ka koe toenga ko ia tau ngā whanau ngā spoti kehe. Whiwhia au pito he taimi ko tō bengu mau e whainga maari e koe ni, ko e uhinga ke mau talatala noa atu o I he ngahi e ria kehe, mo e whitu kehe o ku mau iai, o ku ai whoki e mau ni ihi I Hawaii, ka e u maa whoki aia ko ela e ieni o ku aia Chris Malanga, pea ko Filipe Tuivai ni ku nehu mai ki Lotoni pea mei Seattle Washington ku ai ni I toko lahi I ngai whanua kehe o ku mau whakawhei mau pe ke nau si kau mai ke he vahe whikawaki mo e tau whanau ko ia I he o pe e koutui ko e taimini ku o where a whanau I he ngai sipoti kehe I he ngai whanua kehe pea kai ke tau ke I lava keep up pa koe uhinga e polo kalama koe ni, ke mo mahino i pe e tau whanau me ngai wheitu kehe o nau si whafofonga i ai tonga. Ne o nau whafonga i ngai koris ke, ngai apiako ke, ngā upike nau whamirika ke mana tui. O nau si proud aki e tonga, pe o ku hoko ia ke kau he mu ataha i anga e nau whio. I o au peke whanau na si whanau i pe ia i murini, na te ke nau mau e nau tolo whainga marie, ke nau au atu ki tonga, ka oku nau ke i lau kau a ki pe ai tonga. Ko e uhinga ia, ai polo kalama koe ni, pa ia ke i tari ko ia ke nau tolu, ke ko ilo peu nau osi lotoni, ka nau whenga ke nau toki hāmai, mo whakotutu whalelei e nau ngai mea ngā we, pa koutui koe taimi ko ia o ku whakafofa au pito he koe nihi eni nau si ofa he si poti, nau mate aki ia tonga, pe au pufo ke nihi, ange ko Chris Mamalanga mo nihi na nau whafofonga ia tu ki tau tolu, i he taupotu taha o Akapulu Whaka-Amerika, ai aku mou lawe i pe na nau si ai tu unga ko ia NFL, pe aku nau ilo foki, what it takes, nau ilo, ai ngai mea o kuwhie mau koe ke whaia ke tau talanoa, mo tau whetokoni aki, ka e tuku mua ke uta ia te ki whasi koe ni, ka tau lolotonga ko ia tau taritari ke nau toki mea mai ki lotoni, ko uhinga ka tau toki hoko a te tau talanoa. O, tuku mua he taiminia ke i hendi koe na Chrissy, ko ilo pegu si moua, pegu i on the road, ke ne mou lawe i pe au, ko au siwa Revive, e whatongi atu me i Salt Lake City, Utah, he whiawhini, pe ko whalawa ki pe between here and Hawaii, ko next week te whatongi atu au me Hawaii, ka ihe mea tatau pe. Kai ke, koutou ke i whainga pe kau tamani ke whai moha mai, ne os whatonga i be ne osi lotoni pe mo Filipe tuiwai, u te keke oni mai ne camera, Filipe please on my camera, ka koia. I think Filipe is here now, pe a koutou ia taimsi pe me hene ko on mai mo crispa mo o te motoi puri mo nofu mai be ke tau fofonga aki ki kainga o mo puri gari aki mai au he ni ke fefe e ka koutou i ko whanga mare ko ni te o ange kia Chris ke ne whakahoko atu ia ki ne taimi fiko tope fuko ilo e ka kai ke ka kai fōu neongo kai ke sola e ngotama ko ni ke mala e spoti Amerikani ka time beke na ki whahauka pe no pe ki naua pe a osiko ia pa pau toki talanoa atu ki e ngai whanau ko ia he mau ngai whitu takta Chris pe toki Filipe Malo.
Swaki, you can hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Hey, sorry, I was just driving, going to LA, it's Chris Mamalanga. Malo pita Swaki, si fotu poka make lava ke tau. Ke lafu aki mo kai ngā moe. Mo tau ka kai tonga. Iko whiwhia pike tau whataha e whiwhini. So, really love working with our kids. I heni Amerikani mo e tokoni ke ngahi nihi ko koku. Whaam ke hoko atu nau vai ngā mo e ako. Ka koia pe Swaki mau whatahapi mo koe hono pōpō e tau whanau mo e recognize na ngahi tareniti he spoti. And with that, Swaki, I turn it over back to you.
Chris, more pe, ki pe mua ka tau mui pe i he lao e le te oga kore at pe ke tō mua ho tata he taimi kou tau prokalama ai more. Ka ko ilo be polisi fai feinga ke ngai la ko ya ai ko mo lave i be ko Chrissy o kui lo tonga e la ia oh man o ke sola ia ki hene ngawe ko hoko ke youth pe ku ilo e to ki lave ki ai mui ka tu mo ke kolosi atu ki siato ki a Filipe for memory.
Ano mai Swaki?
Loud and clear, Filipe.
Oh, okay. Malo pita Swaki. Malo tu whai maria mai pelo ke kia pite ru mai programa ni ka fini. Te a whiwhia ko ke tata hoa kona kukurisi malo si fua mai ta whatongia me ta whakona elai Chris hai koe palawe koni a Coach Iwaki ane nai ko ki ngoa ko Filipe Tuiwai te koe mei mahalo koe alo kemi ke tau e wongo fu tupu mahalo e ku whakafofonga teme e wahe koni Pacific Northwest ai a ko noko i he wahe stadium Washington ai a ko Seattle Washington ta ko malawa e taimi koto taimi lahi a pite ke lava peo kapu i atu me Seattle o atu ki Oriconi sometime ki tatahate ki Aitaha mo mea ka koe me ko Pacific Northwest o ko lava lere i peo ki o lava tatapu nati o na whangi tapaki koe ai feitu ko ni ta koe i ala he pito ko nga koe hen pakataha mo koe Coach Iwaki ka pe mo ki ya koe Chris ko whalahe tika moua ka ko tui mahalo koe ngata be ki whalawe no watu ka tau toki hokokat ko tui mato tuk mai whanga maria nai e Coach ke toki whakaiki ki atu e whangi ai tapaki music on kamata pe mi he tawako ki the elements we pagi tau whanau wonu nau mai mua vai ngatu wakapuru he tapaki ko ni te kamata te mea i o le ratu au ke focus na o aki pe ai tau whanau wonu o nau tupaki he waha state ko ni po Pacific Northwest te la vai o matala mo whakaki ki atu mai tapaki ko to ko ia be malo si o
malo pito e kainga mo be mai pega ngo tangata ko ni kai ke ngata pe i he na ko ngo spoti ilo ai ni amerikani he ka pufa amerika pe kai ke ngata ai ko mau komiti ni na mau kau whaki i mai ko ia ai Kingdom Bowl me he wafe ma wa kai kimu ape ai ha uai ke au ke ahoni ki he lolo tongan pea o mau fia foki he mau whai pa mau whakataha mai ke whai haki tala noa pea ko tupe Chris mo Filipe o sai ki taimi ko ni ko toloi foki e ni tau to kamata he ngo fulu a sore iki ai ko hiva ia a moa ki ori a ngeia e ko taimi ko na e ke i e fiafi ko ilo ke lere ngā we pea ko tupe ai bea ni tolahi e toki kau mai ka ko moa hui tu ai polo kalama ai whanau kui tonga koia mei na tau o mai mei tonga kui heni pa pehe pe foki ki he loro tonga pa kou tui pe e hoko toi pe mua mautala noa na kua whainga maari e COVID-19 Chris ka tau pato ki ela e ki ha tonga Paul i Sanuari ka toki whai ki e tala noa ka kou fia he nei heni ko hinga ke mauri poti atu ai whanau tonga i he ngahi area koe o ku mau i ai, pe ko hani ihi pe ku mau ilo ki ai, he ko hono moni, na ia e taimi, na mau ilo i kotoa e tamai ki kotokotoa pe, na e i he ko whiawhia ke kaumai mo timanoa ki he tautala noani, na ia i whoke taimi, i he fitungo fulu, i he nau mei mau e au o mau loto ai kau tamai ki tonga wa inga kotokotoa pe o aluhaki ki e korisi pe pehe ki NFL. I ngahi ahoni, we all admit, fu tokolahi, it's a good problem. Fu tokolahi whanau ia, we can't keep up. Pe aia i he ne pehe, ko uhinga mau polo kalama ke mau hanga o atu ko public awareness o atu pe fanki hingoa ai whanau i ngahi area ke mo nau mātua o kunau wheinga i he malae koe ni o sipoti. Pako tui te ulaki kamata pe mea ku te mau tō vilo pe because we have different aia ka orisi lui o ato e saka mai ka mohu mai ki lotoni o takdari poti ka te mau vilo pe o atu pe funky hingoa e mehe level ke tatau pe mehe intermediate o alua o ki olunga ki NFL pe te mau talanoa pe about them pe ke ngatai te mau to lava pe o atu hangahi ki kataki timo on mai ho camera o atu pe e mautolu moha funky tipi mo funky polokalama mo some things it might be beneficial ki aki tautolu kotoa fa mo pe tim I welcome you fa mo mo ko e tauhi pe lao e wa ke talifolau to pe mo tata ne o pe mata le ko pe he Chris e who my Cleveland Brown he I he fia fini ka go ila vo o fia tim but anyway pa ki mo ko pe to ripoti mai a Chris I he vilo ko e whanau tim I hope na whanongo pe ko ilo pe kua ho whanga nephew pa ko ke ilo pe kau spot tu ki mua ho area or any other family otherwise ki whawhiloa ki mai pe mua ko e tim ne ongo koe ki sola koe ki malai spoti e tau kainga tonga but just for the sake of people who young people who just got in pe ospeho ki whawhiloa ki te uangerewa ka Chris ke ripoti maha ki whanau mi LA viloa ke kia Filipe ki Seattle pe vilo atu kia te koe pe tau ki vilo pe ai. Malo.
Hello, Joaquin. Hello, guys. My name is Timote Manoa. Thank you for the invitation to be here tonight, Chris and
Filipe
Vehaki. But I'm here, and thank you for the invitation.
Whatonga e whaki e paenga, ko Filipe ia mo Chris, ko ngota mai me hahake. He, pa ko fia hei asi mai a timi ke whawhawhonga hihifo. He, ka te whawhawhonga ta ngai motu. He, hey, Chris, I think we're excited te kakai ke nau hia ha whanki hingoa te ke hanga fia lave pe recognize mai from your area.
Joaquin, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Are we talking about high school or college or what do we
any level that you would like to, you know, how big 8th grade kids are coming up, you know, then we'll come around, rotate, you know, as we make note of different names, eh? Even if you start with some of the top kids, they don't have to be a star, just some kids who's trying, you know.
Yeah, we have quite a few. We have quite a few in the Siwaki Elaine on the 8th grade level. I go 14U, my 13U, Wagileka Heni. It's one of the top in our area in Southern California called Penny Tame Funa. And he is a defensive tackle, offensive lineman. Neto Fokimani na o whaina tuna meni East Coast. And Waimukileka Heni ko Shashto Ia. He's part of the 13U team. Very bright. He's part of the top of Waingami Fontana.
Chris, go South Ia. I mean, how old is he now? We're talking about what, 13?
He's 12, but he's playing up. He's playing with the 14U.
Oh, okay.
And he's a special player, very special player. He comes from good bloodline. His oldest brother is playing pro in club in New Zealand. His other brother is at Baylor, and he has another brother at UCLA. And I think Chelsea is going to be the best of the bunch.
Wow.
Because he has speed and he also has size. And he got beat up by his older brothers. So he's probably tougher than all of them. We also have Pulu. He's playing in Fontana. He's 13. So those three are the ones that come to mind immediately off the top of my head. We have Pole, Pakipole, Moala, Liava'a. He's also in the same age group, as well as Russ, Sekona. All those kids, it's going to be a really strong group coming out of SoCal. On the high school level, we have many. The number one linebacker in the nation right now is Niwafe Tuihalamaka out of Alamani High School. He's committed to Notre Dame. And we'll see if we can't change his mind to keep him on the West Coast. But for now, he's committed to Notre Dame. Mausa Palu, you're very familiar with Chiwaki.
Yes.
From Tonga High School. He's got offers from Penn State.
Right, right on. Right. Well, Tim, there's
There you go. We need some Polynesian there. There's hardly any. Or there's none.
I don't know. You might lose Coach Franklin to either SC or LSU. We have Siausi Tapaoto'otai from Bishop Alamany. He's about 6'6", 320, offensive lineman. He came over from Salt Lake, and he's playing here in L.A. now. We have Siale Uluave. He's from Salt Lake as well, but he's in third year here in L.A., playing at Bishop Alamany as well. There's quite a few. There's a Sione Hala. He's committed to Boston College.
all
And
right.
he's a strong safety, free safety. He's at St. John Bosco right now, 6'2", about 205. He's committed to Boston College. I just met a kid today named Shone Manu from Kennedy High School here in the Valley. He's a senior. He doesn't have any offers just yet, but we're trying to get his film out there. He's a running back, linebacker, real tough kid. His dad played ball as well, Sam Manu, here in the Valley, here in L.A. But I apologize, Shiwaki. I probably should have made a list because there's more and more kids. Lisala Tai from L.A., he just got 5-6 offers out of Snow College, but he's an L.A. kid. He's about 6'7", 330. Ikani Tuiono, he just committed to University of Alabama, Birmingham.
Wow.
He's originally from Independence, Missouri, but he was out here in L.A. playing high school ball. He wasn't able to qualify, so he went to academically, so he went to Snow College, and he's just finishing up his AA so he can go to University of Alabama, Birmingham. But I'm really excited, Shiwaki, about Losini Maka, who's now doing a prep year. He's originally from Hawaii. He graduated high school in Hawaii, but he actually spent 2 years here in L.A., 1 year prior to 2019, and then the COVID year. And he's actually got an offer, a full ride offer to Georgetown University. But he's also getting interest from some of the Ivy schools like Harvard and Yale. He's a D-tackle, offensive guard. And so those are the guys. We also have Tu'i Hala, who's got 3 or 4 offers. He's a D-tackle out of Aquinas High School. So we have quite a few. His brother is actually offered by Arizona State and Sione Hala, another Sione Hala. They came from New Zealand, and Sione Hala's got offers from Oregon State and Arizona State, and he never played one snap of high school football.
You know, I know these people are listening to the names, Chris, and they're flipping out because you know how Tongans are, Tim and Felipe. They hear names, they can relate, they can almost connect. Hey, that's my family, that's my... And I'm sorry, Gepaanga, we're just going through, this is our first, honestly, we tried to kick this program up earlier, but I feel like today is the real official opening date. Not only we got the right time when people are more free, nowadays later in the night and they're ready. But yeah, like Chris, don't feel bad that we didn't, prep or have name. But yeah, in the future, we probably focus on less name and more detail so you can make the connection of the parents. We'll pick a few of the people that Chris said, but that was a great job, Chris. I mean, I know your list is not even halfway in your head, but that's just to show Felipe and Tim that that's the type of numbers that our people have in every community, from Hawaii to here in Utah, and in between. And of course, there are kids that we don't know, but we build this program so we will get to know, in the future. And I think there will be a way that with our connection, that we'll be able to help some of these great ones that haven't got looked at because COVID-19 did not help last season, especially in Hawaii, didn't have a season. But before I pass it on to Felipe, I want to highlight a few names because we're going to come around. We're going to rotate, and there's questions that people will bring. When Chris mentioned the name Niwafe Tuihalamaka, he's #1 linebacker in the nation. That kid, we saw it, of course, is Chris's nephew. We saw it from Chris's cousin from young age, like real. And, he was established already. But I want to mention Xiaoxi To'ia, going down to that 12-year-old, 13-year-old. His brothers, some of you may not, but I need you to make the connection. One of his oldest brother is Siaki Ika, that is playing from Baylor, that is used to be LSU, and Chris can talk more about it. Of course, his other two brothers we got from Toloa, it's UCLA now and San Jose, and picking them up from Toloa, from our program team, Chris and Felipe and I. Those are boys that we brought up from Toloa, especially, To'ia at San Jose, Soane and them. Anyway, also among the names that Chris mentioned, Mausa Palu, that looking into Penn State team, we brought that kid from Tonga as a 15-year-old, huge, big kid, so good for Mausa. And Sione from New Zealand, Christian and I got him over here to a lot of these kids are in our program. Of course, Losini Maka, Georgetown, sorry Kahuku, and they Kahuku didn't use him, Tim. So I brought him with Chris to LA, and look where he's at. Georgetown, right. Full ride, you can go
scenery,
wrong.
Man.
and more kids, but that's the type of things that people will learn when they come in here as we bring this raw name. Some people, they wait until they make the NFL, then they get to know them. Yeah, in this program, we'll get to talk to them when they are nobody. Yeah, this program will make nobody become somebody, before they become somebody, But thank you, Chris. And maybe when we come back, you can focus more on a few. But don't feel bad. We cannot cover everyone in this program, but every week we'll try to do our homework and bring in, some people to get more names, and we go into a little bit more detail to the parents. Ke koutu whanongo mai tau kakai, pe mahalo ko mo family, ko hau na me lolo, pe ko hau me fo I one, hake hi fo, Those are the fun things that we'll get into later on. Tau pehe mo ki Seattle, ki sio pe ko what Seattle has to say. Chris, Felipe, malo?
Malo, be the coach. Welcome, Tim.
Hey.
Whanonga de?
Yeah.
You guys hear?
Yeah, really
okay.
Good.
So, kamata ben in the immediate Shiwaki, there's too many kids right now, too much talents right now. I can't name them all, but if you let high school kamata right, because I know you guys, Bobby, here some of the high school talents that we have out here of our Tongan, local Tongans, not including Samoans kids, but mainly Tongan kids out here. They're really are stepping up, and I think definitely need to be recognized. I think I mentioned you guys, and I think you guys pretty much know who Isandra Afua is. So we gonna nickname Nico Papa Afua. Go Papa. He's a true freshman. He's a max All-American right now. He's #1 in the nation D line at 6'5", 320. Yeah, he's got the size, he's got the talent, speed, and everything, all the agility and everything. I think our lucky he in the position in the nation. Kafika hiba all overall. I go Papa. So we at the same high school, Kennedy High School, there's a few Tongan kids who really step up in the game, and they're really shining out there. But also, right now, all that I know, the high school senior that's getting that's committed already, all you got a full ride. JT Moloau, which is the number 1 D line in the nation, I think it's pretty much the last 3 or 4 years. These kids have been highlighted on the All-American team. I go to JT, he's going to Ohio State. Go Viria Milatu, local kid from here, another D line, inside linebacker, at 6'2", 240. He's going to be a local UW kid out here. He's going to be going to University of Washington. Ange ko gire ka taha ko magire ka head be local siya si feed now. He's also a D line, staying here locally at UW. And then we have a couple other kids who committed, but not they haven't signed yet. Or I think there's a couple D1 that really highly looking at them right now. But right now, I mean, just to mention those 2 kids, Isadre Afua and also JT, at top of their class, it's unheard. I mean, it's I know the whole community out here are very pumped up and so excited to see this kids move on to the next level. So other than that, I think Chris, I mentioned Nasiri Kite's son, who's also playing at University of Maryland, who's a junior right now, and a local kid out here. He also has a little brother, Sione, he's a lot bigger than Mosiah right now. So he's very, very. He's only a sophomore right now, but I think he's pushing 6'4", over to 300 plus. And I think the next 3 to 4 years out here, Siwaki and Tim and Chris is going to be. It's very promising out here. Our kids are, very well in school, and they're taking care of their school works and everything. And whenever I see them around, I'm always advising them, to do the right thing and also listen to their coaches. But I think that's it for now. Then the next round, I'll probably bring out some other names. But I'm very, very proud of our kids out here, Coach.
Go whamalo atu ka go kore peke paenga. Tai mi hewa mo wheheu ihe ku kai ke aha mau sekeri tāri ke mauhanga hiki whakamā opo me an. But I think, this show is going to go, is the interest of the people. Of course, later on, we'll try to get there. Mandui, we are busy people with a lot of stuff. You just have to replay this to catch on what we talk about. Someday I might put together names and, a few bio about these kids, and I might get in it. We'll get there someday. Don't forget, this is our first day that we officially are breaking this. So right now, we're just going to talk from the top of our head, the kids that we know that is playing in every level, and because there's too many and we may not. Yeah, in the future, we'll try to bring a little notepad so we can get to specifically focus on a few kids. But kako fia a bit of team he ku whanongo atu ksiat ka mutolu. I mean, it is so nice because, like I said, there's so many names that we just kind of flip around. Kako whamalo atu Felipe from here, but we'll keep going around and around. Fokia kia te koe Tim Manoa. I know that whatever kids that you come to mind right now, because we didn't have time to prep anything, you might mention some of that, please. Malo.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. Hey, no, I was just going to touch on the, back in our days with Chris, there's you hardly hear any kids that goes to the east side, like Penn State, or Oklahoma or Nebraska. But nowadays, they're all over the place. They're everywhere. Our kids, our Polynesian kids are all over out on the East Coast. And, and any colleges, they're out there. And that's the thing I notice a lot when I watch the college football. I see a lot of these names, the Polynesian, the Samoan, the Tongans, names on some of these kids' jerseys, and I see that they have spread out throughout the United States. It's not just around here in California, Vegas, but they're spread out throughout the whole United States, which is what's saying is that we have so many talented players that are spreading out throughout the whole United States. It's not just around here in the West Coast. And it's good to see. Like even Messiah, I watch him play against Ohio State. There's a few other kids that is with the Maryland team. One kid is from Kahuku too that plays on the Maryland team. But this just goes to show of how spread out the kids are from Polynesian backgrounds. I mean, they're spread out throughout the whole United States, which is awesome to see, because most of these colleges has some standards that you have to pass to get into some of these universities, and some of our kids has done all those. I know those kids from UCLA. I mean, I have my nephew there, Tyler Manoa, and then we have Antonio Muffy. He's there also, and those kids that you guys had mentioned earlier from UCLA. But it's a good thing that you guys are doing is trying to, like you said, you're trying to get to know these kids before they move on to the next level and help them in a way if they need help from high school getting into college. And I mean, that's a good service for some of these kids. So.
Malo Vito, Tim, guys, people nowadays, when you turn on the TV and you watch a college game, you cannot help it but recognize some of these poly names. I apologize to our Samoan brothers and the other Polynesian. As you know, I'm very sorry. We can't even cover the Tongan people, the Tongan population. And it's not like we're, trying anything different, but we barely, and we won't be able to cover the many names with our culture. And I'm trying to put together one with the Samoan athletes, with the Samoan guys over here, so that they can bring in. That is another number. Of course, there's far more Samoans. So we're just trying to focus specifically on what we can handle. And now later on our show, we'll develop a format of who we focus on, different levels. For now, hey guys, we're just trying to throw out names like, but when Tim was talking, I was watching the other day and I saw a Texas game and I saw Mangilau, number 75, the O-line, and I talked with Olisi Louis today, and, of course, he's from East High School, but these people are mad at Kahuku alumni's team because the two brothers, DBs, Kaniho from Kahuku at Boise State, they kind of, did not do a good favor for the BYU fans, but anyway, that was a week ago, and on and on. But I'll go to Chris. Chris, you can add on anything that comes to your mind right now, because it doesn't matter. The people, whatever you want to share, and then we'll just keep rotating, because we got about 40 more minutes. So go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Shuaki. Yeah, it's so exciting. I didn't even know that Tu'imoloau mom was Tongan. I know Felipe just shared that with us, and there's so many great kids out there. But it's like everyone's saying, we have so many kids. I mean, at different levels. At Division I, at FCS level, which is 1AA, the old 1AA. We have kids there as well at the Division II, Division III levels, as well as the NAIA level. But, you know, one of the things that really I think is really important at some point, Chiwaki, is for us to educate our people about the transfer portal.
Yes.
Right now, recruiting right now is changing.
Yep.
Colleges recruiting 33 to 50% of their recruits are just coming from other universities.
Yep.
And so what that means is now there's less high school kids getting opportunities and even less junior college kids getting opportunities.
Yes. True.
And so the kids who used to be borderline academic qualifiers, those guys have no choice but to go to junior college because they're not going to get taken from the high school level. So it's very, very important that our kids get a core 3.0 or above in their core classes so that they can qualify to go immediately at a high school. Because going to JC right now is not a guarantee that they're going to get a deal or a scholarship to go on to the next level. And, you know, the thing that I love now is like we're talking about Georgetown. We're talking about West Point. We have a Tongan kid right now at Harvard right now. You know, those are the type of schools I get excited about because, look, less than 1% of our kids are going to go to the NFL level. But what I like to remind the kids, and I ask them a simple question. Who makes more money, LeBron James or the guy, his check? And it's always the guy who's signing the check. And he doesn't even know how to bounce a basketball, you know, but they're still in the sports business. So we can use football or volleyball, whatever sport the kids are in, to get them exposed to a network of people. And that's where the true value comes in with a scholarship. It's not necessarily that they're going to get a scholarship and go pro. They're going to go pro in something. But it doesn't have to be as a player. They can be a professional. You know, I have to remind the kids all the time. I ask the kids all the time, who makes the most money in the NFL? Immediately they say, oh, Patrick Mahomes, because he signed a $500 million contract. What I have to remind them is that $500 million contract is, number one, it's not fully guaranteed. And number two, we don't know if he's going to make it all that long with the length of that contract. The highest paid person in the NFL is a gentleman by the name of Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, and he makes $50+ million a year. He doesn't have to run wind sprints. He doesn't have to lift weights, and he doesn't have to go tackle anybody or catch a football. So what I have to remind, what I really like for our community to understand is that we can leverage our God-given talent, but it doesn't just have to be as a player. It's just to get our education paid for and also to be exposed to the networks that Georgetown University brings, the network that Harvard brings, that Northwestern, that UCLA brings, that USC and Washington. Those networks are what's most important because we can leverage those relationships to be able to do what be successful in construction like Felipe. You know, Felipe went his route and he's very successful, but there's ways to tap into a lot of those networks earlier in your 20s, you know, and that's kind of what I try to encourage the kids to look at, maximizing their talent, but also understanding what the opportunity actually entails, that it's more than just playing the sport. Because we all know as former players, all of us are here on this call are former players. The one thing we can say, 100% guarantee, that football will end and sports will end at some point. That's 100%. There's nobody. Tom Brady is an anomaly. Jerry Rice is an anomaly to play into your 40s. That doesn't happen very often. Jackie Slater. You can count on one hand the guys who play past 30 into their 40s. So with that, Chiwaki, I'm excited for that part where, yeah, some of our kids there will be a Halo Tingata or a Felipe Tuivai or a Timote Manoa out there. And there'll be guys, hopefully one day we have a successful coach that can do what you did at the high school level, Coach Levi. You know, but that just lets people know that football or sports in general is a great start, but you're not gonna play football forever. And we can leverage what we experience and the relationships we build through football to be able to create more opportunities down the road. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Shuaki.
Malo bito, Chris, of course, that is the main part of the show. As we bring kids over from Tonga, New Zealand, and other places with scholarship, Chris and I bang head with these things because academic is the most important thing because, you know, a lot of the kids just don't get it. But I think it's all on the parents. But more Chris, sports will get you and open many windows, many doors for you. Iai be maungai polo kalama as we start to build ke tokoni atu te maulawa vai atuheni whanki polo kalama ke tokoni mo tau te whitu ke young parents that have kids coming up. There's going to be a lot of things that we can help one another here as we network the sports arena, the sports world. There's so much more deeper things that Chris does, you know, up here training players before the draft and so on. But when you mentioned, Chris, I guess you, nephew forget or Tim, Tyler Manoa going at UCLA. And I'm sure now they already hook up with Jay Toia at UCLA already. You know, Polys kind of find each other. You know, wherever they at, you know, they look for each other and they bond, and you know, it's a one extra motivation that we have. You know, as we identify ourselves for who we are as Poly. You know, in this huge world, you know, and it's good. Like Chris, what you just learned, you know, so am I, Tuimolohau, you know, and we'll probably focus more on these outstanding people in the future programs. But many people did not know that Ron Stanley was Tongan, you know, that mom was Tongan as well, you know. So, you know, and so many with names, with Palangi names. Yeah, tolai a bit of whanau Tonga, ka kunau hingoa hango Ron Stanley, mga hingoa ke. Ka koutui e polokalama ko ni te tau lava whi ilonga ki ai mga mea lai. Ka koe konga koe na lava ka Chris, very, very important. Iai mai kaureka na ngawe ki ai, na e wanted by many, by almost everybody. Kai peke lava o koneki academic, especially transcript, transfer credits. New Zealand is terrible. I go to be even Tonga, of course, is worse. Systemi ke o mai a curriculum ko ya ke fit in mai ke qualification. But those things we do know a lot because we have been dealing with it a lot, you know. Malo pito Chris o mai tafaki ko ya, very, very, very important. Okay, go hinga peni if you know that you're not good enough for the NFL, but you're gonna be a pro in something in an area. And the other thing is, it's gonna get tougher to get a D1 scholarship as we move on with the new way of recruiting. You know, so. We have to be on top of things. Filipe, forget to get a koi.
Yeah, Maro, that was a good conversation there, Chris. You know, and I like that the most. And I think this is why we, as former players and coaches, come together, you know, so because only us can see that, you know, our youth can't see that, you know, and sometimes, you know, our community, our parents, you know, looking at football as a lottery pick, you know, but they have no ideas what's in the background. I mean, you know, if some of us here, if we have enough role models who we can connect with some of our youth development coming up, you know, and show them, you know, by walking them through the whole 9 yards and, you know, and teaching them, you know, football it's good. It's a vehicle for us to get into education. Some of us only go play football, because we want to get to the Sunday league, but they have no ideas what they're going with, But I think that's important, Chris. What you had, you mentioned all the backgrounds and all the little details that are very important in order for you to move, to make it to the next level. It is hard, but only some of us, who we can advise some of our youth, how you can get there. What is the shortest route to get there? What's your plan B? You have to have plan B. If you're not going to make it, you better know, some other backgrounds for you to continue living your life. Yeah. And I think when we talk more and more about it, Chris and Tim, because they look up to us, I mean, you guys been there, done that, you know what it's like on the other side. So, but there's the little details sometimes we don't connect with our youth on that. And I think with Siwaki, with his background with education, I think he pretty much laid out there with, as you see some of our last bowl games and some of the kids that came out of it, some of them didn't even have a Division I scholarship. But look at the Muti out there in the Broncos. He went to us. He listened to Tim when Tim came out there, did a speech for motivate our youth. Pennicini's out there in Detroit. He went to our program. I mean, Will Walker's out here. He's coaching out here with the Seahawks. Some of the names like that. There's a reason why we step in. There's a reason why we do this. And I think for you guys, for your leadership, for having to communicate with our youth and pushing them and supporting them in that, because we want to have a good support system for them. And I really, I really stress it out, and I thank you so much, Chris, for pointing that out, because that's why we're doing this. We're not doing this in order for them to make it to the Sunday League. No, that's not what we're here. We're here to tell them exactly what you got to walk straight. And there's going to be some humble, but you got to, you're going to have to find a way to make it through. And lastly, Siwaki, I know Tim, you had it on your website about Tuinea Waripate. Yeah. And as a former Cougar, this guy here really, he was a mentor to me when I was playing in Wazoo. He will get up on the off season and he will come out and help. Luckily, I was the only Polynesian at the time, so he focused on myself. But I really, appreciate all the love and when you see people like that who's been in the league for pretty close to 10 plus years, maybe it was more than that. And I know Chris, Junior. I know you probably had a little span of time that you spent with him, and I know you, Tim, Aripate, and I just want to mention that because those are pioneers. Those are people who really paved the way for some of us to be there. And a lot of people don't know who he is, but you know what? I have to give a heads up to him because he's been in the league for so long. Yeah. And he truly needs to be recognized. And people like that really, I really appreciate what they've done for us. Yeah. So with that, I give it back to you, Coach.
Thank you. Go tila go any with our audience. Of course, they so much more that they wish they can hear from us. And sorry, guys, we don't have all the answers. We just we know what we learn and what can be used for our youth to be something. But you need to keep a balance. Sometimes, Tim, I feel guilty when I was pushing football in Kahuku. Honestly, sometimes I say I kind of guilty that I made football became God, and people got the wrong idea. Right now I'm trying to be on the other side, say, hey, not every kid going to be in the NFL, it's less than 1%, so everybody's bringing their little boy like this is going to be in the NFL, and I'm saying it's good. It's good that you have that that feeling. But the same way, like Chris said, same chances to be a lawyer or doctor or something else, because in 99.9% that's what he's gonna, like the Felipe said, plan B. Yeah, so for our audience out there, keep it balanced. Ke tatau pe ho teke a sipoti mo teke koe ako. I think if that is balanced, oh man, that's the greatest thing. And of course, easier said than done, but that's the challenge that's always out there. To keep that thing balanced. Because, but anyway, malo au pito, Tim, forget to get better if you add on my.
Well, I just want to tag on what these two have said. It's good to have a goal. You got to have a goal and make it a good goal. So, if you don't reach your goal, then you reach halfway there. But the other thing is that I was piggyback on what Chris has said about this transfer portal. As you watch every game in the college, they always say he's a transfer kid from another school. So exactly what Chris is saying is you better have your grades to get into the D1 schools, because the junior college kids is going to have a hard time trying to get into the D1 schools because of this transfer portal. And a lot of things has changed with this COVID-19, but that's a big thing, because most of the time if a kid wants to transfer to another school, he has to sit out. But now he can transfer and play. So a lot of things has changed. So some of these kids, like you said, you gotta have if you put the same energy that you put into sports and put it back into to education of what you're studying, I think it'll bring you better. You'll do better at that if you put the same energy that you're putting towards sports and put it back into your study. It'll balance out. So, and most like what you guys are saying is that most of these kids that plays in high school, the goal is to get into the NFL, which is a good goal. But you have to look at the other side of it. Like we've been saying on this talk is about, there's only 1% that makes it to the NFL. What's the rest of them doing? So you better have like Felipe said, you better have another plan. So when you don't make it, you have to fall back on it. So you got to have another vehicle to fall back on some of this when you putting all your energy into. So you gotta have a balance, man. You gotta balance it out. You gotta balance education. You gotta balance it out with sports, and I think you'll do well with that. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. We now hear about balancing school with academic and other things, and I think that's something that we will push from here. Chris, forget Katekoe.
Thank you, Shuaki. There's two things I just want to make sure that we cover from my standpoint. Number one, I see more and more kids nowadays. Sometimes, they feel like they have to change and be something different than what they are. Culturally is what I'm talking about. And I feel like, we have a culture that's thousands of years old. I mean, literally, our culture is thousands of years old. And we come to a country whose culture is only a few hundred years old. And we don't have to leave one for the other. It doesn't have to be exclusively one or the other. It can be mutually. we can benefit from both cultures. But I've been seeing a lot of times lately, at least, now that we're going into our second generation and third generation and fourth generation here in this country, that sometimes people, they say, almost like looking down at our Tongan culture. And I really feel like it's important to embrace our culture and understand that we come from a great culture, and it's funny. I was at the airport how many times, and I see a Palangi guy, and he's wearing a tattoo, Kubesi tattoo, a Polynesian tattoo, or Uri guy. And I'm not offended by it, but I just find it interesting that here we are trying to acclimate to this new country that we're in only a couple generations now here. And it's almost like some people feel like you have to go all American or all New Zealand, Kiwi, or all Australia to be successful. And that's not true. We can still be authentic and be Tongan and be proud of our Tonganness. That's not saying that we don't have our flaws. There's some things about Tongans we all know that we're conflicted with. But all in all, we come from a great culture, and I think we have to encourage our kids and our families and parents to not shy away from our Tongan culture, but to embrace the goodness of our Tongan culture, and also to acclimate the good part of the American culture, because not everything about America is great either. We got kids shooting kids at schools, and the drug problem here is the worst in the world. And so that's the first point that I wanted to make sure that I shared. The second point, Siwaki, Coach, that I wanted to at least to start a conversation. We won't be able to cover everything on this one call, but the game has changed with the NIL. The NIL is the name, image, and likeness. And the name, image, and likeness means that kids now, it used to be that you can't make money on your name once you sign that scholarship paper. That's no longer the case. We got like DJ Uyangalele at Clemson. He's going to make 7 figures before he leaves college, just on his name, using commercial. He's already in Dr. Pepper commercials. God knows how much he's getting paid for that. And in other words, what I'm saying is now we can actually try to get some funds from our talents without having to go to the NFL. And that's from using your name, image, and likeness. And I can go on and on about how that works. I'm actually working on a project right now. I kind of mentioned it a little bit to Siwaki, called American Football Institute, where I'll be educating people on how that works and how you can leverage these opportunities where you can actually get paid while you're in college and then continue to get paid after college if you don't go to the NFL. And so it's exciting times, where they're finally, these things that are going on now. We have kids right now who are getting $50,000 just to use their name per year. That's more than some of these kids' parents, one of their parents are making. And there's a lot that goes into it. And obviously the kids out of Alabama, he's already got $1 million in endorsements already. He's an LA kid. The kid out of Clemson. And it's, not every kid is going to have that opportunity, but a kid like a JT Tuimoloa, who's got a big name already going into Ohio State, he can take advantage of that. Nioafi Tuihalamaka, who's already got momentum because of his high rating out of high school, he can take advantage of that. So the top of the top of all these kids that go to college, they can actually create income to help their families while they're in college and not have to pull their small scholarship checks to try to help their families, but they can actually leverage it with the local markets. And there's creative ways you can do that with digital marketing and things like that. And that's what I'm excited about because, now the kids at Georgetown, they don't have to go to NFL, or the kid at West Point. We have a kid, Sean Lemoto Tongilava. He went to West Point, graduated, and then he just finished his master's MBA at USC, all paid for by the U.S. government, by the Army, through the GI Bill. And he doesn't have to pay that money back. So just super excited for our kids. You know, we say it's not about the money, but at the end of the day, it's about opportunity and about helping our families. And yes, money is important. You know, it's not just about money, but it's about creating opportunities so that we can maximize these gifts and talents that our Lord and Savior has bestowed upon our people. And super exciting stuff, Siwaki. I'll turn it back over to you.
Man, like tonight, like I tell our audience, you know, it's our first official program, and we're just kind of talking about little things here and there. And like Chris said, that program, you know, we'll have time to talk about certain programs that will help you. Because right now I got tons and tons on my personal page. Guys are asking me questions that I can't keep up reading right now, but later on, and what we will find in this program, besides just recognizing some names and, you know, of the kids, is the different programs that's available there. And Tim and Felipe, I think a lot of people already learned a few things just for us talking tonight, whether it's a name of a player that they did not know about, or how the connection to our culture, and a lot of other opportunities and things that should be done, you know, and all of the above. Yeah, and we'll take time to focus on some of these later. People are asking me here too as well, guys, about Jordan Mailata, you know, because there's some late people, athletes that have chosen to go that route, that are in New Zealand and Australia later in their skills, you know, and you know, I think that what Mailata did was kind of turn on the light for many people, you know. As you know, the skills is gonna be hard skill position to transfer to American football, but the D-line, O-line, I think that's more our type of people, you know, and I think there's gonna be a lot of changes going forward, you know, with a lot of stuff, and we will have program. We might. It all depends how it goes as we. And this is our committee here, and a few other people out there, and we have many guys in different city all over the USA, and if we put our head together and put together something, we might be coming around your neighborhood with more like you know, a clinic, just kind of talk and you know, have breakout sessions where we can sit and, you know, Q&A, you know, question and answer to some of the things, to educate our parents on how to work. You know, last week or 2 weeks ago, I had an opportunity on the Bears radio program to talk with Tevita Hufanga, Felipe, you know, and, you know, of course, we, you know, have known each other for when Talanoa was still in elementary, you know, and this older brother was more in intermediate. But those are some of the samples that these parents have gone through for their kid to accomplish so much in high school, and went to USC and now in San Francisco, you know, on the later teams, like Tim and Chris mentioned, when they were in the NFL, things were different then. You know, things are different now. How to go there is all different. Things are changing a lot. And in this program we will have some of the parents of the NFL players, or even the players themselves, when they have time, so that we learn some of the things that we have gone through. Roia e ka inga tonga koutui e polokalama ko e ni, te tau whetoko ni aki. Te maulava vai atu mea ko tope ko mau ilo whikau aki mo sipoti. Tau te whito ki Amerikani. Ko kamata ke sio maa nusila mo Australia, ke ngai whainga maari e tau mau he ni. Pa maulava pe foki e timo sio loto. Mo whanau me mei toko te au koe ni ko mau toko ni he polokalama koe e Kingdom Bowl, Tonga Bowl, me nusila. O kulo tonga wa inga koe ni Amerikani. Na lawe pe Chris some of the names. Mo Australia, pe mei Tonga. You know, get now all my here the team or make it big, coming from Tonga not knowing any English. Ko kata ma be mo Chris, tala noa tu me mau whanau ko na o mai mei Tonga. Ko e whakaori, in Tonga when we do the interview for the different high school, ke ai go now I-20 team, it's funny. Mau ai rewa, time ko ewa na mau ai koe ai, koe ha koe ai, maybe hadau koe scope, koe ha koe ai, Skype, koe ki Skype ko na set up, ai ki loki ako. Tu lai ne mai, you know, whoever kau follow, every year is about 10 plus. Ma si team, koe whakaori atu, koe da, interview for Palangi foki, ko pafuki, koe whakaori atu, tau teke koe kau tama, koe, ke haue, so ai whatonga pena whanonga kau Palangi. Pafuki ke utu i mui he iPad, pe koe te laptopu, o whenga whawhana mai, what is your hobby, ko fio ko se mai ko whakau atu kakau pe koe whatever taiminia fiu ta ofere whaparangi o si peti au pito toto. But you know, I think I have a kick out of it, Tim, when I see these kids out of nowhere, did not know whether it's from Wava'u or we have a kid from Nomuka, I mean, right from the island, you know. Hangatonu mai peko ki Tonga, heka, koe we are going to America, you know. I mean, those things, and when now I'm retired, I honestly, soon as the border open out, I'm in Tonga, you know, developing this, I think we're going to focus on the league team. We talked to Chris and Felipe about it, more on the 13, 14-year-old, you know, because those are the kids that they can learn the game in 2 years and not necessary to be expert, you know, just to come here and already know the basics, you know, enough to, and with the talent they have, you know these guys going to jump all over them, you know, and there's more that we can talk about, the doors and windows that sports can open up. But keep in mind, all of us agree that without academic, you ain't going in nowhere.
You're going nowhere.
You're going nowhere. Yeah,
Nope.
you're going back to Tonga. You know, so that has one thing before I pass it for our last round, guys. The other thing that I need to mention, when I went to Tonga, I met with the principals, with the head coaches of the rugby teams. I was trying to implement the U.S. system, Tim, pass to play. Yeah, you have to pass to play. When I started 2017, 4 teams, high school team, to compete, Hahake, Hifo, Vailoto, and Kolo, they had to have they have to be to get approved from their teacher in order to play. They have to get approved from the parents. Because some kids forget how a pay. Toki hau pay ko ke ilo mai mami mo teti alubeki kolo but no foi pay mo no friend he hati, you know, toki. So they have to have approval from teacher and parents and also their village. Ila ka officer kolo. Aba ko alu inukawa longo ako na holo. I said, if I have a complaint, me officer kolo, you're not playing. You know, you're sitting out, and they learn the hard way. You know, now they're going, hey, in America, you have to. There's criteria, there's a requirement that you have to pass to be on the field. You know, I mean, they have so much pride. They don't want to lose in Teo Faiva. You know, the wah. They'll do anything. Because he's the only one they invested and trained to be the one, you know, to bring in a Tarifaki is kind of, you know, but anyway, but there's another part of it. But forget Felipe.
Here, Malo Abito. You guys hit it right on the point, you know, but I think all in all, I mean, what we all have in common, Swoki, is, you know, that we have the passion, you know, and I'm so thankful that we have people like Chris and Tim here who really take their time to really motivate our youth and, you know, push them and support them. And, you know, some of the keynotes that Chris had mentioned, you know, I mean, those are some of the things that nobody knew about that. I mean, if I know my game, hey. Now we are have a guitar ni here, why have a Maria, eh? And you if your son's got a big name right out of high school and, a Max All-American, he's got a potential to make money right away, before going into the league, or if he's not going to make it, then, there's other avenues that he can probably, done, but I'm so thankful to be sitting around in such a great groups like this who really can mentor our youth and mentor the young ones, because a lot of times I see some of the parents, it's their dream to get their little boy or little girl to get to the professional level and stuff. It's their dream to have them, get there. But what about how the kids feel? And some of them they start them young at a little league and just kind of burn them out all the way up to 8th grade and freshman year in high school. And a lot of times, they're burned out. They're not going to play football no more. But because of the dream of the parents, that there's, things like that in that nature. But sometimes we have to really, really support, our parents, because and that's it, Get your kids. Oh, he's got a full ride. Oh, Division I. Oh my gosh, he's gonna make it to the next level, And we're so stuck in that phase of mentality that I think it just needs to be, be crystal clear to some of our parents, But we need to have that communication with that next level, because. If your kids, if you're out there pushing your kids playing basketball, AAU, all the way up to high school, all the way up to junior and senior years, oh, come on, you got to pick one. You can't play all the sports in college, but the kids out here, they're all burned out and they don't know what to do, but they're doing that because guess what? My mom wants me to, to be this person, this and that, but some of those the little things like that, sometimes it needs to be heard. Sometimes the parents need to know those, because it's sad at some point, but at the same time, we just need to, somehow, some way we can kind of bring it out and lay it out and make sure that, some of our parents, our matua, and all will kind of have a sense of understanding to see, there is no other ways but education is first. Yeah. That's the key right there. Everything else follows. And then when you have people like ourselves out here talking and trying to get the point across, sometimes it does get across, but sometimes, most of the time, it won't. And then you're going to have to look for another leadership somewhere to make sure that you can prolong that type of commitment and stuff, But back to you, Siwaki, I'm excited for, hopefully, the pandemic here will clear out, crystal clear, so we can all do what we do best, and that's to make sure we can start our bowl games back up, and hopefully in Tonga will open up in 5 years from now, hopefully. But in the meantime, I think everything is starting to open up and it's starting to clear out right now. So hopefully next year we can get back on our bowl games and and I just push for having more clinics in our camps. Little things like that. Things like that. What Chris had mentioned about some of our youth now. How what else? How can they make money here and there? They don't have to be in the professional level in order for you to get funds like that. But little things like that, it can be very, very helpful for our youth. Other than that, I think we pretty much cover a lot of knowledge, and Chris, you brought in a lot of nuggets, and I think some of the parents and everybody out here they'd like to hear from that. And with the support, Tim. Hopefully, you can be part of this regularly every week. And I think Suwaki had hit it on the point where he moved our timetable a little bit later, so where it's clear for all of us. It's a lot easier for me, definitely, because last time it's either I'm still working or driving, and it was but I think this is a better time for all of us, and I think instead of seeing Suwaki by himself, you can see all of us here all at the same time. But I really appreciate that, and I think that's what I can come up with right now, and get it back to you guys.
Before I turn the time to Tim and Chris, there's Chris have learned a lot with the field that he's in, and especially the training, whether it's the physical training or the mental training, and all the little programs that help. I mean, there's so many that, and I've been to LA with Chris to watch, to follow through with all these different programs. And it's also good when he give advice, because he has a son that is 11-year-old right now, and he's a piece. He's gonna be like Chris Mamalanga, And so it's more that he's looking as, so whatever he will share with us is what he shares with his own kids, with his own son. So we will benefit from it. Kakai ko na whanongo. He koe ngai mea koe tene toi whakamato atoangi e ne whekumi. Even though na e whekumi ke mao ngā ue ki tonga o whai umea ko ia, ki he whanau ke ia. Now that his kids, hono whohai ne taha ko aluha ke tau tātaha, and he's more into the program, different programs. There's not a program here in the US that he doesn't know and aware of. Pako hinga ko lelei ko tene whekumi ki hono whoha. Pakai whuke ngā tai ko loto pe ke recognize yan. Ko junior tui halamaka, ko e whoha ia hono ankolo. Ango number 1 ko he linebacker in the nation. Aya mo hono family pe, hange pe ko siausto ia. Ko ne ki nephew pe ia. Ko tofi a olua ko ia. Ong tau o sisio pe tau team ka Felipe. With the experience that we have, we almost pretty can tell from the eye test, the kids that have the most opportunity to go far. Yeah. We just have to groom them in the right way. Academic, attitude. Sometimes we don't talk about attitude, but that is huge. Before they turn your paper in to look at your academic, they might kick you out just from your attitude alone, just from the eye test, just from the way you body language and stuff. But the not to mention a lot, but I will focus on some of our kids that some of our project that Christian and I was focusing on, like Lo Sydney, at Georgetown. He's not too tall. He's what, Chris, maybe 6.5 or 6'1" at the most. So it's not like we're looking for a 6'5" all the time. If you can do it right with a 6'1", they can do it. They can do it, yeah. Also, Mausapalu from Tonga is our project right now. Tuihala from New Zealand, Tonga, New Zealand. Alaska Tau from Hawaii. For hard hit, big Masiago Yago Dange. I put you in the program from Kahuku. He's my nephew. He's doing so well. Alaska Taufa, grade wise. And everybody knows that little nephew of mine from Hawaii, Ikahuku. Ko e pau uatu ka kalaske. You know what? Send him to Chris. Chris. We'll talk more about, he's doing 3.0 and above, maybe more. He is going to be something, we have Sitandi Mikaele, a kid that, but he's coming along great. But like I said, e monu ia ai kautama ko ni e te nau tufi ngai mea koe ni mea Tim and Chris kai umafu ka a Felipe pe uiai mani he mau kau pe no lo te ke nau ha mai ke mau whai koe tala noa and all of this is to share what we have learned. But we have watched a lot of people who could have made it further in life, but because they were lacking just one or two things here and there. And I think when I mea te mau focus ai ko I he kaha o. Tim, turn the time to you, and then I want to whaosi mea Chris ke ne toki o mai ngai mea kotoa o ne whakaukau. Malo bito.
Malo, no, I'm just, what Chris has said make a lot of sense, and he knows a lot about what's going on with our kids, of what kind of program they get in, what type of things that they can make money out of. Which I forgot about that rule that the kids from in college can actually make some money while they're in college. And, that's another avenue for somebody that, they can help some of these kids to get that money. But the other thing is that, when kids has scholarship to get into college, that's not a pass to make it to the NFL. You have a scholarship to further your education and play sports, but it's not a guarantee that you want to make it to the NFL. Because a lot of times when you have scholarship to get into college, it's an education scholarship before, but you got it out of your talent. So, most of our kids, and like even Felipe was saying, is our parents has a lot to do with how the kids perform too. It's what they tell the kids. It's what they groom the kids of what to do when they go to school or play sports. Because a lot of times some of these kids has too much pressure on them, to do well. But that's the whole thing about our parents is, we all migrate to this country just to have a better education or a better life. And I think that's the only reason why they push you. But maybe sometimes it's too much. So, but nobody knows, but this is just us talking and giving them some information of what we have learned being through all this. Because, our parents just pushed us when we were growing up. They pushed us pretty hard to do the things that we needed to do to get to where we were at. We made it to. So other than that, this is a progress that we need just to talk about and inform some of these kids and some of the parents. And I think that's all what you guys are doing is just informing them of what to look out for, what they can do, what they can't do, or who to talk to, and just having a lot of information for a lot of these parents, and even with the kids in college. Some of these kids in college needs to work out beside working out in with their strength coach in college. I think it helps a lot of some of these kids. It helps what Chris is doing, helping these kids with techniques and helping them with football techniques. Because a lot of times, a lot of these techniques are not taught in college. So, with that, I'll turn it back to you guys. I know.
Tim, you mentioned a very important point. I used to go and watch Chris. It's almost 15 years that he's been coaching D-line, preparing them for the draft. And he have coached many guys that first round, has been big first round. And I go to watch the way he break down techniques, and things. And you start to think of all these All-American in college, as you think that they already learned everything there is to go to the next level. And when you have guys like Chris that coaches these guys to fine-tune their techniques, that will give them the edge just for the draft, and to see the result of every year almost get one of these guys on a first rounder and stuff. And sometimes Chris is too humble to talk about this, but I have ended this, and watch it and doing. And to have him when we do our little clinic, Tim, when we go around, so he take a handful of guys and kind of walk them through. Those are the type of clinic that we're going to come around someday as we try to get this. Our nonprofit is active, and we'll talk more about that, because that's how we will be able to get around to share some of this hands-on, face-to-face question and answer with parents in a room. We don't necessarily have to be out on the field sweating around. There's so much that you can learn just on those things. And we'll continue to meet as a committee to see these things. We're also going to include Govamalo atu kia Moses Similai mo motolgana mo si toto komendi mai mga mea, because we kind of focus on football, but no, we're not just here for football. A lot of these programs that Chris will finish off with applies to other sports as well. The opportunities, whether it's girls volleyball, soccer, and the rugby as well. Because a lot of our kids are already into rugby, there are opportunities now with the rugby world, So Mafu went, and Moses Similai, Nusi Tukwa, for some of these rugby guys, they'll be on the show to see what's available out there. At West Point, to be honest with you, every year, Mafu and I have about 10 scholarships, rugby, to West Point. That's unheard of, So with New Zealand and Australia now going to be listening to our program because of, Mailata and a lot of other things, we will focus on transferring rugby skills into football, and see how that can work hand in hand. And if football don't work out, there might be rugby and other things. But overall, we are coaches of life, not just sports. Sports kind of bring you, your interest here, but you're going to end up be a pro in some area. Your talenity, So with that being said, we are excited moving forward, because I know that this program in the future will be a 2-hour program, and we're going to keep this time, and we're going to try to better this in many ways, and try to answer some of the questions that people are wanting to hear. And I believe that this program someday will be very, very beneficial for our youth, because that's how it goes. Me and Chris have this saying on our thing that our I don't know whether he's call it the motto, motto, because taumua is changing lives, and Chris and I have used that in the kids that we brought from the islands or overseas with Felipe and Unga, Kauvaka, and a lot of our committee members, changing lives, and that's what the program is. It's not just football. Just to remind the people, we hear about focusing on the youth and, changing lives. But anyway, we would like to give the remaining of the time to Chris. Chris, we want you to cover as much as you need to cover. Anything you want to say before we close today's program, and we'll look forward for next week. Mahalo pita.
Thank you, Shiwaki. And it's truly an honor and privilege to spend this time with all of you, Tim and Felipe, as well as you, Coach Levi. And there's so much information that we want to pour out to our folks, especially our Tongan community. One of the things that I wanted to make sure I covered is the fact that just because somebody is Palangi doesn't mean they know everything. We have plenty of Tongans out here who can help each other and help our kids. And I see that sometimes. I see sometimes when, you know, I try to reach out to somebody and, you know, they'll get the same exact information from somebody else, but I already gave them the information previously. You know, and that's a sad thing, but I think it's more of a colonial stronghold sometimes. I mean, we got very qualified Tongans out here who have the information. Jake Langi, Director of Recruiting at the University of Texas. We got Benny Tonga at Oklahoma State, Director of Recruiting at Oklahoma State. You know, we got Frank Maida at Boise State. We got Lewis Powell at Utah. Kalani Shitake is a head coach. Isi Tuyaki. You know, we have all these guys. David Alose at Oregon State. I mean, the list goes on and on. Right now, every top program is looking for a Tongan or a Samoan coach or recruiting coordinator because it's not a secret anymore. And so our people are very talented, but I really feel like the true strength of our people is when we stick together. And, you know, sometimes, you know, we tend to push each other away the more successful we get. And that's very unfortunate.
Yeah. True.
And so with regards to the techniques, Hiwaki, look, to me, and I think Tim and Felipe will agree, with relation to sports, whether it doesn't matter what sport, rugby, football, the sports part, the football part is the easy part. That's the easy part because we were already gifted. We were given divine gifts of talent, not just physically, but just in our hearts, you know. You know, we live in a time right now where it's so divided. Republicans hate Democrats and Democrats hate Republicans and Pa'atoa and all these different, you know, Falealo and all these different. I try to stay away from the politics as much as possible because at the end of the day, regardless of what your political belief is, we're all going to get buried 6 feet deep at the same grave, and it's going to be the same size with the same dirt. You know, and so for me, I just want to share information that while the short time that we're here on Earth, that can hopefully help some of our people. One of the things that you mentioned, Shiwaki, it makes so much sense to me, is that, you know, rugby is such a great opportunity. Growing up in the U.S., I didn't see it. I thought rugby was a waste of time, you know, just because we were raised in the U.S. and we didn't know any better. And not only that, we were sold that it was American football and that's it. What I've learned is that the kids that play rugby oftentimes are more gifted, talented, and more developed than the kids who never played rugby. You know, with the first kid that we tested it on was Stephen Paya. Stephen Paya, I met him and his family in Bavao. He was getting ready to go to Wellesley College. It was one of those college scholarships, high school scholarships to New Zealand. In my statement to his mom, Sane, and his dad, Penny, he says, look, if you're going to leave Bavao and go somewhere, don't go from a small island of Bavao to another island of New Zealand. Take your talent to the big market, you know, and that big market to me was the U.S. Now, I'm not saying rugby's bad or anything like that, but the one thing I do know is they don't have a pension. They don't have a healthcare plan, you know, and they don't have an academic. I mean, you get hurt in rugby, you see it in those. There's a great documentary on Amazon right now about the Fijian rugby players who go home, and it's a sad, sad tale. And so I don't like having kids play American football too early. Honestly, like my own son's been begging me since he was 8 to play football. And I'm like, no, he's playing rugby. He's already started playing rugby at age 8. Then he's playing basketball and he's playing baseball. He won't play football until next year when he's 12. Because he's not going to play high school football until he's 15. And so that's the one nugget I want to share with the parents who have young kids. 15 is the magic age to being a freshman in high school. That's the magic age. Because the SEC, the top conference in the country, you look at the freshmen that they have, they say they're a true freshman, those guys are almost 20 years old. And look, one thing you cannot speed up is you cannot speed up time. If he's 17 going up against a 20-year-old, you already know what's going to happen. You know, 9 times out of 10, that 20-year-old is going to school that 17-year-old.
Yep.
Just because he has physical maturity, he's got emotional maturity, he's got so much going for him and so much experience because he held, usually those guys in the SEC and the Big Ten, they hold back their kids from the 8th grade or the 7th grade, and they don't go to high school till 15. And then when they get to high school, if they haven't qualified, then they'll send them to a prep school, which means their clock doesn't start. Go look at the roster from Alabama and Ohio State. See how many kids went to an academy or a prep school. About a third of those rosters, those kids are already ready to get married and start a family almost before they're a freshman in college. You know, so there's so much little tidbits.
The reveal I been more Chris is some of the secrets that I had that gave me the advantage all the years I was coaching, but now we're gonna have to let it out out of the basket, huh, Chris? Because you know,
Siwaki was ahead of his time on the West because the South and the East, they've been doing it about the same amount of time as Siwaki's been doing it, but now we're able to take that information and knowledge and share it. As a matter of fact, Siwaki, I just wanted to share with our audience and with our panel that I'm developing a course. It's going to be a free course teaching families how to qualify with their core classes. You know, and I've developed a YouTube channel called American Football Institute. Right now, it's more of an inspirational, motivational page of messages of guest speakers that I've like John C. Maxwell and Eric Thomas and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, where I've taken some of their words and just put it into a page so that it can go over the basic fundamentals of success that can apply to football, it can apply to rugby, it can apply to business, it can apply to medicine. All the strategies for success are the same. They're not different. In football, you have to train, you have to be disciplined, you have to work hard, you have to be focused. Guess what? That's the same thing you need for volleyball. That's the same thing you need for baseball. That's the same thing you need for business. The principles and the strategies are universal. We're just applying them to this particular sport. For me, for Tim, for Coach, and for Felipe, it happened to be American football, where we can take those strategies of success and apply them in any area of our lives, even in our own families. And so, super excited, Siwaki, for this platform to be able to share. I encourage you guys to go on my YouTube page, American Football Institute, and subscribe and like and share so that we can get more of this information out. What we're doing here with Pase and the Tongan Youth of America page is great because we're focused on our Tongan community. With the American Football Institute, I'm making it open, and we're going to share it with all cultures. But that's just more of a platform of sharing more of the same information that we're sharing here on TYA and Pase. And super exciting times, guys. And appreciate the time, Siwaki and Felipe and Tim, spending time with you guys. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Coach.
You know, there is so much information, and I'm glad we got this kick off so that, you know, we can kind of reorganize what we want to share. There's so much info from each of us that our people really need, and thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for bringing up Aripate Tuineau situation. You know, I think you know, I hope people can listen to this, rerun. This show will be here forever, you know, and you know, to see some of the points that we have made today, as Chris is already starting to share with you, as I said, what he does with his own son is what I'm doing with my grandsons. You know, I came here and, you know, my grandsons, some of them are huge and they're running on. They have little football here, And I told them, no, don't put them in there, you know. And some of them, they just follow what I said. But I said, you know, and I have my reasons, and but that's what I do, and that's what I can control. So as excited as my daughter and my son-in-law and some of my kids want our grandkids to be in football at early age, I told them, no, don't need to. But so and so, you know. But so we will give you our points, and I believe they don't need to be in there until like 12 years old, as Chris mentioned. Is some of the weight programs, you know, I know what to get into or not get into, and if people are interested in what we do, and I think that was the most honest thing, Tim and Felipe, is what we do with our kids and grandkids. It's what we believe in. It's not for everybody, but we're willing to share it. And some of the tips that we have, like the whole back, you know, I did that in the early 90s before I became a head coach in Kahuku. And some people still don't know what it is. Chris and I were in Utah about 5 years ago or 4 years ago. And some of them, they realized that they wish they followed what we had. And prep school, I think, is new to a lot of people. And you will learn a lot of things that you guys don't know, you know. And some of these young parents with the young players coming up, big name, getting visited by head coaches, college coaches, they're excited. And some of them feel like they're professional already in the arena of recruiting or other things. You know, I hope they are humble enough to seek advice from people that have been there before them. And I hope we didn't offend anyone out there. We're here changing lives. You know, we're here to share every little bit of experience and knowledge that we have. Tim Manoa is, like I said, NFL player. He was the second Tongan in the NFL. And Chris and many of them has followed what has been there before. We have loaded coaches now in all levels and players that we can't count, you know. So Felipe is in the top of his field, you know. He's a running back. He's a running back, yeah, just like Tim Manoa, yeah. And those two were running backs, you know. And you know, even though I was Ngatonia Felipe, and Chris was a D-line, the guys who's trying to kill the running backs, you know. And anyway, but guys, they're here because they went through the system, and you will be pro somewhere. And Felipe, one of the top field kuiai construction ilo pea e tonga kotoa, you know. And so, you know, we'll bring in more people, get panel that have something to give. You know, I know this Chris and Felipe that Tim will be future in the Tuivai's program. You know, we taken Coach V, Tim Manoa, and spoke to our Tonga Bowl kids in LA when we had them in Summit High School. You know, he came out there and speak to the kids. So, you know, and we have a very close connection with Summit High School, and we hope that when Chris and Felipe feels it's clear with COVID-19, we're probably going to kick off the Tonga Bowl again, maybe from LA, starting to move out from there. But we'll let you know if it's planned. It's going to be in January sometimes. But other than that, for malo atu ke tonga ko tope mo si tunin mai share mo tau ki polkalama ke tonga ko tope ko polkalama ni ai tonga ma tonga. We want to whakahoko whakawiki atu ia mo mea pete mau ke vai atu e vai ngā tapa ke pe whikawaki mo spoti ofa atu e mo tolu katoa until next week. Malo apito.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay, bye.
kakala pe koha o whaanga Kaulea mo whakamatala kisi I o pani pai toko taha Auhia ai ki I wakani whakaamu pe ke o mai Hoki I mali mai ka e pope ke umate ai Ta ahine lea mai pe te ke tali nai ape Te ke tali nai ape ta ahine asi e kukole Pe iha pahinga tai mi pe Te ke lohi mai ai Te lau pe koha koula Ua foa ki mei he langi E mate pai mo ke hau O si I ave ai au He kuo ta e tau Pe ato e hala mo si e kumau Pakatapu moha o kakala Pe koha o whaanga Kaulea mo whakamatala kisi I o pani pai toko taha Auhia ai ki I wakani whakaamu pe ke o mai Hoki I mali mai ka e pope ke umate ai